Howdy. Welcome to another show, a late evening show for me. But it's Wednesday, and this is usually when lately, this seems to be when I usually get a show in. Um, so I'm going to be doing something a little bit unusual tonight. Welcome, everybody, for any of you who are watching live. I am going to be reviewing a Time Rabbit video about Darth Dawkins that I have not seen. Normally, I give these like kind of a cursory listening to while I'm working or something like that. But in this case, I didn't do that. I heard about this one. I had a stream it looked like it was pending a little while ago. I'd actually clicked on the wrong thing. I was hosting a StreamYard room for a conversation and put it as a pending broadcast as opposed to like a recording, and so it was still kind of floating around out there. So I was reacting to some people in the live chat. Never went live, but they were like, "Hey, Tom Rabbit's got a good one coming out," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Right after I got done with the conversation that I was having and kind of wrapped things up and deleted that. Apologies to Red Fang, by the way. Red Fang came in and said, "You're late," so, and I didn't take the time to tell him, like, "Yeah, that's not exactly what happened." Um, I just, oh, good. Red Fang's here. Yeah, sorry, Red Fang. I wasn't late. I was negligent, even worse. Um, so, had the conversation, wrap things up. My brother called me right before my conversation wrapped up and was telling me about this conversation as well. This is a longer one. I'm going to try to get through as much of it as possible. Like I said, I haven't watched any of this. And I have no idea who All the Love 84 is, the person that Darth Dawkins is talking to. But I'm assuming this is a Clubhouse discussion. The fact that it takes 40 minutes is kind of interesting because I've heard he gets quite emotional in this one. So, with that being said, let me go through and say hello to a few people that are here. Michael Deaton, hello, hello. Some guy named Bob, good to see you. Errant, nice to see you. God Equals, hello. Mr. Lumpkin, Rat Snake, good to see you as well. Pat Lowinger, good to see you. Jill Warren, good to see you too. And congratulations on your horror poll thing. I think you're still at number one, maybe. But congrats. I got an email saying that you were like leading. QZ, good to see you. Daniel, Bree, good to see you. Josephus, Red Fang, of course, good to see you. Good to have you, brother. Maya, as always, good to see you. Mighty Sarlacc. Bree, am I late? I don't want to end up like Jefferson and Jay's elder brother, Abacus Spatchcock. Abacus Spatchcock will not be talked about live. So, yeah, email me for details, Bree. I'll let you know about all that. Yeah, that's a gothic horror, if there ever was one. Maynard, good to see you. Monk, nice to see you too. Boom, I was waiting for this. She's amazing. Drives him crazy. Well, she's a woman, right? So I figured, yeah, she will. And also, if anybody's interested, throw JL a vote. It's for charity, I believe, but it's the Face of Horror thing. And I think if he wins, he gets to meet. God, why am I blanking on the name? Hodder, right? God, why am I blanking on his first name? I know who the guy is. I got a younger brother that's addicted to horror movies. Force feeds me this shit every Saturday. Why am I blanking on Kyle Hodder? Oh, Jesus Christ. Strap in. Darth is in rare form in this one. Ooh, good. Kane. Of course his name is Kane. Of course. Jesus, why didn't I go with that? Kane, Bane, Damien, Satan, something like that. Damn it. All right. So I've said hi to, I think, everybody that's going to show up so far, at least all y'all that matter. At a 2-night stay in Buffalo Bill's house. Buffalo Bill isn't, she's a great big fat person kind of Buffalo Bill, like, or the Buffalo Bill, the guy that sharpshooter. I'm just wondering. I lasted about 3 minutes with Darth the other night. Well, that's 2 minutes and 45 seconds longer than he's ever lasted with anybody. So, right? Sorry. All right, so let's get this going. So I'm going to shrink myself down. I think I've got everything saved out as usual. Like I said, I'm going into this one blind, contextless. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's one of his random conversations on Clubhouse. But yeah, we'll see exactly what happens here. I've heard he gets all sorts of twisted talking to her. So We'll see. Uh-oh. Dee biggest gripe with speaking with women online is he can't beat them through the monitor. Jeez, Nick. Jeez. Oh, so dark. Anyway. All right, let's get this started. We'll see where this takes us. And by the way, usual rules apply. If you can't hear anything, yell at me.
Do you want to be kicked out of here?
I don't care if you kick me out of here. I'm having a conversation. If you choose not to have a conversation, you can kick me out.
Little bit out of here. Kick her out of here. Good, she's gone. Okay.
Personal experiences and personal accounts of an event happening are like the lowest form of any kind of evidence, right? So to say that we're going to take the word of these dudes who like walked around 2,000 years ago and happened to write it down in a book is far-fetched for me, and it's not been reproduced again.
Okay,
like
well,
do it again.
Here's the problem. Do you consider that superstition?
I wouldn't say it's superstition, no.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's already trying to get that dismissed right away. So the reason that I picked Guy Hamilton as Zorro, and if anybody's wondering, the thumbnail is from Zorro the Gay Blade. I apologize if that humor has not aged well. It's particularly tacky. But he is now going by the name Darth with a Zorro avatar emoji. So I decided to follow along with that. For that, and as soon as my brother told me about that, I was like, oh wait, the Guy Hamilton movie Zorro. Yeah, I'll choose. I'll try to find an image from that. It was surprisingly easy. Anyway, Darth is so dark. I thought he was a DC Snyderverse character. I mean, he wishes he was that gritty. He is that dark. Well, actually, he's darker. Like if you covered a character like that, I don't think Snyder could deal with it. Like if you got into like the substance of his psychological damage, I don't think even Snyder would be. He's not prepared for that. Like his darkness is quite broy and broody, and it can be taken care of with push-ups. But yeah, so all the Love 84 is already kind of like confounding him, and it seems like he's already coming out swinging wildly. Like, oh, so you're just saying it's superstition? Clearly, she wasn't. But if he was looking for clarification, she certainly fired back. So let's see what happens here.
Well, then do you consider it real?
I believe that people believe.
You don't. Okay, so it's either superstition or it's real. There's a grade between there, right? Like somebody could be using narrative to make a point when they're writing the story down.
Believe what they see, right? So I can't take that away from somebody.
No. We are. That is. Yeah, what you're talking about is empiricism. Okay, have you ever heard of that before? Okay, empiricism is the view. The only things that are worthy of being believed in are those things that I can touch, see, smell, taste, and including through empirical endeavors. Okay. Would that represent your position?
Slightly. I would definitely fall more towards that, yes. And I say, why not? Why not make it apparently obvious? Why make this?
What's not obvious?
Well, nobody living today has any of these kinds of accounts of happening. Resurrect another person. Like show up today, resurrect another person. All right. Do it again. Okay. Reproduce it.
So, all right. So I'm accustomed to this type of objection. Okay. So the miracles in the Bible, and especially the miracle of the resurrection, there is no representation that these are regular events. You have now made a category error. Do you realize that?
No, we're claiming that this actually happened 2,000 years ago, and I'm saying we'll prove it.
Oh boy, she's coming at him with it. She's looking for those facts, folks. This is going to trigger Darth hard. Now, like I said, I'm not exactly sure why he's doing this, but I'm wondering if he's doing this because, like, the Z-Zim thing and the pronoun wars, the things that drive the Jordan Peterson reprobate types wild. I'm wondering if that's why he's doing that. I don't know why he's changed this to Zarth, other than like, unless he just wants the Z because it's Zorro. It could just be as transparent as that. I don't know. But I always suspect that it's something more toxic. Benghazi, I'm glad Jeff didn't use the Dread Pirate Roberts for DD. No, I would never do that. I'm a fan of that film. Loved Carrie Elwes in that movie. Would not besmirch his image, and connecting that to Darth Dawkins. My apologies to Guy Hamilton and his family for connecting his image to Darth Dawkins. Sorry. The implications are bad. Sorry. I love Guy Hamilton. He was great.
You just either you didn't understand what I just said, or you're ignoring what I said. Your response in terms of repeatability, okay, is a category error. Do you understand what that means?
No, define category error.
Okay. A category error is to object to a proposition as though it were in a different category.
It's better than when he ran around calling himself. Yeah, I think it is. Zarth is easier. Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts didn't make any sense, and then it was Dunkin' Donuts for a while, and then it was Dunkin' Atheism, right? Then he switched it to that because everybody was like, "Are you just Dunkin' Donuts, like the chain?" You know, that was a weird turn. It was like, "My name's Walmart." Like, what's that? Why is your name Walmart? Like, oh, I'm sorry. Let me change my name. I'm Wall of Jericho, the Protestant fundamentalist. Like, oh, okay, all right. Now you're coming through loud and clear. Whew, weird.
So, for example, you are asking that it's only reasonable to believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ is if the resurrections were somehow regular. But the resurrection of Jesus Christ is not of that category, or else it wouldn't be a miracle.
Okay, I don't know what he's going at with this. In all my years with Pride, I've never encountered anyone who goes by either Zim or Zur, save for the occasional cosplayer dressing as Invader Zim. Good point, Nick. Thank you.
A miracle is a event that causes awe and wonder to where the observer believes that this is the power of God manifesting itself in some way, where it appears as though the laws of nature have been suspended. Okay?
Now, yeah, so show me another miracle.
Okay, hold on. It would be if miracles were regular, then they would not cause awe and wonder. Are you when you're a little kid and you first begin to have a realization of lightning and you look out the window, it causes you awe and wonder because it's something that you're unfamiliar with. As you get older and with familiarity, it's just like, okay, yeah, it might be pretty to see a lightning storm, but it doesn't cause awe and wonder because you've seen it before. So the purpose of miracles in the Bible was to confirm that the prophet in question was an emissary from God.
Yeah, but weren't the points of any of the miracles in the Bible to show that God could suspend the natural order per His will? Right, a man could walk across, the surface of the water, right, when it's not frozen. No cheats, y'all. He could feed a multitude of, with a few loaves and fishes. It was something that was supposed to be spatially, physically, or somehow in some other way impossible, and he made them happen. It always seemed to me that the example of that was that God could make the impossible possible. Right, with God, all things are possible. Right, that was the whole message of it. And these guys end up coming up with this whole kind of thing, like, well, no, the whole point is just to make people like swoon in awe. Well, I know for a fact that one of the most awe-inspiring things that I ever saw, and I should probably talk about this because this is just shameless personal testimony, but of all the religious experiences that I had and all the different ceremonies that I'd been in and stuff throughout churches and stuff, there was a moment at And I'll admit there was quite a bit of alcohol and weed going on. I was not partaking of the weed, but I was partaking of a little bit of the alcohol. But it was at this outdoor shrine in Japan. It was in the outskirts of town. We were in the middle of nowhere, like a 40-minute drive from anywhere. And this band sets up inside the temple. The temple was rented out, and they set up just outside, like they're not in the temple proper, but they're kind of in the entryway. And they start playing kind of Shinto, I think it was Shinto, kind of music. On their electric guitars and stuff, and on a set of keyboards, and it was powerful. Like it was just reverberating to this valley that we were in, and I thought that was one of the coolest experiences that I'd ever had. Now it could have been the Kahlua talking, because I think that's all that anybody brought with them. It was like a little flask of Kahlua. They'll have a little bit of that. That was enough to get us kind of going. Everybody else was like, smoking some really strange weed. Weed in Japan is a really weird thing, and highly illegal. But this was a weird festival to see happening, and yeah, it was a cool experience. That was awe-inspiring, right? That gave you the goosebumps. That gave you the chills. That gave you that heightened sense of self-awareness, right? That's not a miracle. Like, despite that music happening, I didn't see anybody walk on water or supply the entire, nobody got everybody a round of beers, despite the fact that there was no alcohol present. That didn't happen. Nobody defied the laws of, the physical universe. So this seems, kind of weak.
But what you're asking for, in order to believe it, you want to see it regularly happening, or just to some extent regularly. Is that correct?
No, I'm not saying regularly. I'm just saying make this happen again, so that those of us who are born.
That's what we call.
That's not regular. No, regular means occurring on some frequency.
Yeah, I kind of like the where she's going with this. Let's see here. Thank you, Mark, for the super chat. Love at First Bite, 1979. Thank you for the super chat. I'm not sure if I know. Is that a movie name? I'm trying to catch the reference. It sounds familiar. Let's see. Jefferson, you absolutely destroyed Barthologist today. Yeah, Daisy, I didn't know that you saw that. I was in a clubhouse room earlier today while I was doing some data entry and working and stuff. Probably shouldn't have been a clubhouse, but I was doing that. And Bart was being weird. Very weird. And then he just kind of left. So I don't know that I destroyed him or if he just left and took a nap or passed out or something. But Jeff has a history of drinking. Don't start Benghazi. All right. We don't need to revisit the video that P. Mars loves so well. Ugh. All right, let's get down here. Okay.
That's not regular.
No, if it happens more than a few times, then it's regular. The self-testimony of the God of the Bible and the self-testimony of Jesus Christ are self-authenticating. Okay? They have the attributes that are indispensable. Now, you can choose to either say, no, Jesus Christ does not have the attribute set that is the necessary preconditions for everything. Or you can say, well, I can just simply do without that. Now, which do you choose?
So again, you are starting your line of reasoning with an individual and a Bible that have not been proven to be true. Okay. Therefore, the following can't be proven to be true.
Okay.
I have to exist.
What you're doing is.
All right, I will grant you that. Thank you, JL Jefferson, George Hamilton, Vampire Flight, 1978. Love at First Bite. I've actually seen that. I didn't realize that was the title. I saw that when I was a kid. Had no idea. Saw that when I was a very little kid. Holy crap! His haircut looks stupid in that. Whew. Yes. Yeah, I remember seeing that. With Susan St. James. Oh, good Lord. All right. Jesus Christ. My childhood, I grew up in a dark time. But yeah, okay. Love at first bite. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Now I know.
Is the prevaricator's veto. You are prevaricating. You're
Well, you have to
pretending
prove that something exists before you can then use it as an argument.
Listen, what you just gave to me was the typical cliche that atheists give in response, but it was not a direct answer to my question. Either you will acknowledge that the character qualities of the God of the Bible and the character qualities of Jesus Christ are such that they are indispensable for everything, including human reason, logic, and truth. Right?
No, I do not.
Benghazi knows me well. Yes, movie references are great jingly keys for me. Stop bringing it up, Benghazi. Don't let people know my weaknesses. They're going to start making like Olympus Has Fallen and Roadhouse references, and then I will just descend into madness quoting those movies nonstop, or Die Hard, or some of the French movies that I like. Don't get me started. I have varied tastes. I think it's weird, like so far, like getting back to the topic of this conversation, like so far, it's been kind of weird. Like Darth is sort of insisting that these, like this is how stuff is, and all the love has basically been like, yeah, no. That's kind of the impression that I've gotten overall. Like, yeah, maybe not. And it seems to me like they're not actually like he's not getting good and triggered yet, but I suspect that he will. So let's see what's going to happen here.
Believe that.
Okay, I know. I understand that. So either you will if you do not accept the self-testimony of Jesus Christ once you become acquainted with it, you have limited options. You can either say no, he doesn't possess those character qualities, or you can say that it is not indispensable. Either way, either response will be you communicating that you are operating in a worldview that does possess the foundational parameters by which you can reason. So before we move on, which of those two alternatives do you select?
What?
He is not indispensable.
He's not indispensable. Okay. Now, so that means that since he's not indispensable, he is superfluous. In other words, he's not the only car wash in town, okay, as Lord and Creator. So can you please explain to me when you reject Jesus Christ being the Lord of creation, incarnating himself and dying on the cross, and he currently upholds all things by the power of his will. When you reject that, can you please explain to me fundamentally in the totality of everything that exists?
I'm going to have to rewind this to get back to his point because he's starting to ramble. Oh, good old Zarth. But JL has just tripped me up with this. I told you I was going to do that. Call me Roy. Damn it. Why did you have to bring up a Die Hard reference now? Like you just, it's like feed moonlight to a werewolf. Don't do that. Don't do that. But thanks for the comment, though. I do appreciate it. So I'm trying to figure out where is Zarth going with this?
What is it that singularly dictates all instances of what is, can be, and cannot be?
Oh, God, he was talking all that time, and he just lumped it into his weird Socratic thing? Oh, God. Okay.
Well, you're assuming that I believe there's one singular thing. I don't believe that any one singular thing created everything. I believe that there is a multitude of events that happened that allowed a human to exist.
Okay, so what you have now, so now you have rejected the notion that there is something that is singularly absolute from which all things derive and depend.
Correct.
This observation is actually quite cutting for me. Nick says Jeff's channel has just become an archive of what a male Karen does in their free time. Reduced to that, yes, yeah, I think it probably is. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you. Everyone feel free to unsubscribe as you should. Oh God, so dark. But in a way, yeah, it kind of is.
When we talk about something being
No, from all
absolute,
things
it
that
means
derive, not depend, just derive. I don't believe there's a singular thing
that
at which from which all things are derived.
there. Well, is there? Okay. Well, here's the problem. Derive and depend are significantly overlapping. Okay, to the point where it's hard to see the difference. Right. So we can talk about chronological dependence, and we can also talk about contemporary dependence.
Oh my God.
Okay? Now, either way, you're going to be up a creek without a paddle. So I'm going to ask you, both chronologically and contemporarily, do you reject the notion that there is one concrete thing, as opposed to an abstract one, that is absolute, meaning that it is unconditionally non-dependent and non-derivative, from which all things derive and depend? You deny that?
All right. I want to read this one. Dede is misrepresenting there. Denying there's a necessary entity doesn't mean one denies there's one type, quote unquote, of thing that all things depend upon. Example, physicalism and mereological nihilism. Good point. I don't think a lot of people catch that. I think in for Darth, he's always like trying to wrap the stuff up in an entity or a personality, and I think people start to get kind of fixated on that.
I deny that.
Okay. Now, do you know what that means? Now what that means is that you must believe that there are two or more things that are discrete, that the two or more things do not derive from each other or depend upon each other, right?
Correct.
Because they're not concretely unified.
Yep.
So there are two or more things that are absolute, but they're not in the category of ultimate. That there are two or more things that are absolute, that in and of themselves, they're not subject to change at any moment, right?
Correct.
From which all things depend upon.
No, they don't depend. Well, they depend upon it currently, but it is not required. So a human being is not required to be here on Earth.
I don't think you understand the situation. Okay, any discrete state of affairs,
I'm pretty sure they're already talking.
The classification of absolute within itself.
Pretty sure they're already talking past each other.
Or that it derives from what is absolute. Because if you reject either notion, then when you invoke a state of affairs, there would be literally no reason, not that you wouldn't know, there wouldn't be any reason why anything is. Do you believe?
I don't believe there is any. Are you using reason as purpose? Do you believe?
Do you believe that there is no reason, known or unknown, why anything is? Do you believe that?
Well, can you just answer? Do you believe reason and purpose are the same?
We can use them synonymously.
Really? Reason and purpose? Okay. Nick writes, I wonder, what if someone were to suggest to Dede that there are two distinct but codependent things, like space and time? Yeah. I can't remember who it was. Actually, it might have been Nick. It might have been Nicola having a discussion with either him or one of his acolytes was having a discussion along those lines, and just completely flustered them.
Doesn't have to be purpose entails intentionality. Okay, reason would be that there's something that we can explicate. Okay, but it doesn't have to have consciousness.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a rationality we could so if you could explain the causes of an uncaused world, then it would be rational, right? But it wouldn't necessarily have to be caused by something. But I kind of suspect that that's not something that's good enough for Darth. Like, it has to come from an entity that willed that into existence. So I don't think that he'd be good with that.
Okay.
So yeah, I believe there's no reason for anything to exist. It just happened.
Okay. Well, you don't live that way.
What difference would it make how she lived?
Explain that.
Okay. You believe that the continuity of existence amongst discontinuity and the regularity around you, okay, is how should I put that this regularity, you believe the regularities of existence are real as opposed to it's an illusion, right?
How does he know that?
Are you saying, like, I don't believe in the natural world, that we're all living in a simulation?
Do you believe there are laws of nature?
Yes.
Okay. Are they real?
Real how? Are you using
real, are they
observable?
A figment of your imagination? Are they a figment of your imagination?
Oh God, he's getting into this. AJ, I love Darth's melodrama with regards to the argument. Every time he identifies some perceived error, he acts like it's going to crush his opponent. In reality, most couldn't care less. And also he wrote, all right, I got to head out for an hour or so, but if you're still going when I get back, I'll be high as balls. Congratulations, AJ. I look forward to hearing you come back high as balls. Jack Burton comes back with, there are no facts in a not God world. Would that be a fact in a not God world? Uh-oh. Thank you, Jack. Let's see. If it was about time, it was me. I once got Dee Dee to argue that B theory was false because God's perspective is privileged, but God's frame of reference is a B theorist perspective. Then came the slurs. Yeah, well, that's not surprising, I guess.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so then you believe they're real.
Yes.
Okay, now, if they're real, something must institute and secure their realness. Okay? Now, are the plurality of states that you refer to as laws of nature, are they real in and of themselves, that they are eternal, or are they derivative?
Well, I don't believe that anything is in totality. So if one aspect of our existence is removed, let's say oxygen, then there are a multitude of things that would no longer exist. So eternally speaking,
are laws of nature absolute within themselves? That they have always existed?
No.
Okay, then they cannot explain their own realness. So why are the laws of nature real?
They are real because I can verify them and replicate them with my current stance and being.
No,
absolutely.
Okay, all right. No, you are in.
Oh, so now Darth's gonna, Zarth is gonna tell her how science works. Gur asks, is Dee Dee going by Zarth now? Yeah, he is. Not exactly sure why, but hence my thumbnail. The Zorro thing is really, it's ringing a lot of alarms for me. Yeah.
Incorrect.
Absolutely. I can prove that gravity exists.
Okay. Listen to me. Okay. Science is not in the business of proving things. Science engages in observation, testing, and repeatability, and then will formulate tentative conclusions. Okay. Those tentative conclusions are, how shall I put it? They are, my caffeine hasn't kicked in yet.
Subject to revision.
They are provisional in nature.
Jesus. Wild Darth is like, well, no, my coffee ain't working yet. JT is like, let me help you, daddy. And he just like, injects, random Christian terminology into the conversation. What the fuck?
Sure. Provisional conclusions are accepted temporarily as a working conclusion until we.
All of them are. They could all be disproven. That's the point. It's all up for revision. I don't understand why Zarth, Gary, thinks of this as a weakness. This is a strength, right? But this is within the purview of like empirical knowledge, right? And I'm not exactly sure why he does this kind of stuff. Like, oh, well, science can't do this stuff. This, and this. So like, well, we're talking about empirical verification. We're not talking about something like philosophical justifications or trying to make completely rational explanations based on some kind of philosophical theorem. That's not what's happening with those things. They are provisional. That's a strength. It's not a weakness. And Darth keeps acting like, oh, well, you can't get there. I'm like, oh, well, you can never really know. But you know who does know? Jesus. And you know who knows Jesus? Dawkins or whatever he. It just says Zarth. I don't know if it's Zarth Dawkins or what. I'll just start calling him ZZ, as in I'm asleep.
Have some further information that would mitigate against it. There's a world. Listen to me. Do I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
You can disagree with me metaphysically.
Absolutely.
But what I'm telling you right now, you cannot disagree with.
Absolutely, I can. Jesus Christ. Of course anyone can disagree with anything. I mean, oh my God.
Science.
Has he ever talked to a conspiracy theorist? Oh, wait, we're talking to a conspiracy theorist. So, yeah.
Is not in the business of making truth claims. All conclusions in science are provisional.
So science makes a hypothesis and works at proving that hypothesis and turning it into a theory, which is then peer reviewed and checked.
I don't mean to be rude, but I'm going to shoot straight from the hip. You do not know what you're talking about.
I don't mean to be rude, but here I go being apolitic. Ooh, I'm Zarth Dawkins. I'm super cool. Like, oh, I'm not gonna pull punches for anybody, ma'am. All right, I'm just gonna set you straight. Ooh, yeah, cool, Zarth. No one gives a shit. Who in the fuck in the course of a conversation has to say anything like this? Has to announce anything like this? Like, calm down, little lady. Just let you know. Like, I mean, like this is like Johnny Bravo style treatment. Like, but Johnny Bravo was funny. This is like, bizarro Johnny Bravo. Like anti-charisma.
You have enough education in science where you think you understand, but you don't. Okay.
So, I say the same. I don't know your background and you don't know my background. Okay. So I would never say that you don't know what you're talking.
Okay. No, I got to stop you right there. You simply are speaking out of complete ignorance. Can you?
Ooh, he's getting triggered. He did bang the table. Slam.
Observe the uniformity of nature.
Can you just take it?
Be careful.
Can you take it down a notch? I'm not trying to get anybody upset.
Wow. Can you hold on for a second? See, this is what happens when people get cornered by their own words and their own position.
This is what happens when somebody starts sounding a little bit like subject, from The Big Lebowski. This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass. Like, this is what he sounds like. He's just losing his shit, and he's about ready to go outside and, beat a Corvette to death with a crowbar.
Then they go into bickering.
I'm not the one screaming.
Okay. No, I'm raising my voice because you're moving into bickering.
No, that's what happens when somebody else gets cornered, is they start screaming and making personal accusations.
Are you going to be a little child about this? I deal with this day in, day out. I've done this for 12 years. Okay. I'm a grown ass man, and I know bickering when I hear it.
I've been doing this for 12 years. I'm a grown ass man. Any guy in his 60s who describes himself as a quote unquote grown ass man is weird. Sorry, just saying, right? Like I'm now affectionately over 40. I wouldn't describe myself as a grown-ass man. I would describe myself as a man entering his twilight, right? Like, I'm a grown-ass man getting ready to recede, right? Things are starting to fall off. Things are getting difficult, right? Like, I'm entering into that stage of life when I wake up in the morning, I swear, because, something has malfunctioned. System checks don't go optimally. I'm not exactly sure what he's trying to do here. This is fucked up. I don't know how he's made it to the tender age of 60, whatever. And he's still talking like this. Why is he still talking like a 20-year-old? You don't need to refer to your age anymore. Like, when you get to 60, I would think that you would stop referring to your age. You'd rather not think about it. But this ding dong keeps talking about it like it's a badge of honor. Like, you know what I am? I'm 62. I'm bigger than you. Like, oh, cool, dude. You got more rings in your tree or something? Like, I don't get how this works. I'm not sure, like, who patted him on the head and told him, like, once you're as old as me, you can just tell all these young whippersnappers what to do and what to, when to fuck off and when to do whatever. And, like, I don't think that's how it works. And he's kind of getting this, like, pushback because all the love is like, yeah, no, that's not how this works. No, your points are stupid. No, that's not it either. And he's pounding the table. Oh, I'll tell you what it is, you young whippersnapper, you heathen, you Jezebel to Satan. I'll come get you. I'm like, it's not going to happen. Right. And they're on Clubhouse, of all places, where none of this means anything. So. Yard. Trigger me, Timbers. That's pretty good, jail. Thank you.
Now, I am trying to methodically go through something to inform you of certain things that you're unaware. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Now, think carefully before you answer it. Can you observe the uniformity of nature?
Like, in its entirety? What the fuck is he talking about here? This makes no sense.
Explain the uniformity of nature. What do you mean by the uniformity of nature?
You don't
That's
know
not a
what
bad
that
response.
term means? I thought you were educated in science.
What is your definition of the uniformity of nature?
I'm asking you, are you educated in science enough that you know what the concept called the uniformity of nature as it is used in science books means?
Science books. How is the uniformity of nature used in the science books, young lady? Jesus Christ. Explain to me. You need to teach me what science is because I only know about it from the preachers, and the preachers beat me daily. Like, what the fuck, Darth?
Do you know what that
No.
means? Okay, so you are admitting that you are uninformed in this area.
In the uniformity of nature, yes, but that does not conclude that I don't know what I'm talking about or that I'm bickering.
Okay, yeah. Well, if you can't tell me what the uniformity of nature is, you're uninformed. Now, what I appreciate about you is your chutzpah. You've got plenty of chutzpah, which is that's a good thing. But
why is he deferring to, like, Yiddish? I always get a little bit nervous when he starts doing that kind of stuff. You got that chutzpah, like what is he, like a 1920s detective? And he's like, talking to the secretary, like, you know what I like about you, Rebecca? You got that chutzpah, all right? Yeah, but you know what you need to do? Go back home, help your mom make the brisket. Fucking weird.
chutzpah needs to be guided in the right direction. Okay? Now,
toward the brisket?
Can you observe the uniformity of nature?
If I don't know your definition of the uniformity of nature, I cannot answer that question.
I'm using the standard definition in science. Do you know what the standard definition of science in science as to the uniformity of nature is?
Okay.
Oh, this will be interesting. Nick writes, I do know that the assumption of local uniformity really pisses TD off. The idea that borrowing relevant changes tomorrow will roughly be like today. Yeah. Yes.
I just looked it up. So the uniformity of nature is the principle says
so
that
you didn't know.
I already said that. I already
So now
answered
you're
that
cheating.
question.
Okay, good. So
How is she cheating if she had looked it up? She admitted that she didn't know what it is, and then she looked it up and she was going to read a definition. And now he's like treating that as if it's a slap in the face. Like, what the fuck? Zorro. Ooh, dude, that is not a move Zorro would do. That is a move that Zorro's enemy would do, right? And, you know, if you saw Zorro doing that kind of thing, Zorro would deserve to get stabbed right in the face mask.
you couldn't even explain to me, and I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but I am going to confront you.
Yeah, he is.
When you spout off like you know what you're talking about and you don't, right? I'm not
After she said she didn't know?
trying to be mean-spirited here.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't have to try to be mean-spirited. It comes naturally.
So can I just make a statement here, right?
Okay. Did you just read the definition of the uniformity of nature?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Can that be observed?
So the uniformity of nature, let's make sure your definition matches what is written here, is the principle which says that the future will look like the past.
Can that be observed?
The future looking like the past? No, because I can't see the future.
That's right.
But I can predict it with the use of science. I can say if these things all exist.
Okay, now.
But I just want to make one. Can I just make one point?
Can I just
make one point?
Hurry up.
Hurry up. Oh, Darth. That is not a swashbuckler's move. Nick writes, yes, the whole point of the problem of induction is that we use prior observations to predict future events. Every observation of the past, being like now, is observing the uniformity of nature. Well said.
Okay, so if a neurophysicist, they can be super informed and super intelligent in their area and not know all of the intricacies of every other subject on Earth. That does not make them uninformed. What it does is make them uninformed on that particular subject.
Good point. All the love. Wilberforce, you're right. How dare you compare Darth to someone as cool as Channy Bravo? You're right. Apologies. Forgiveness, please.
So to blanketly say that somebody is uninformed because they don't know one single definition, it is not irrelevant.
If I asked a neurosurgeon, wow, you see, I enjoy debating with people, but it's frustrating dealing with people who think they know more than they do. If I asked any neurosurgeon to give me an explication of the uniformity of nature, they would be able to do so. You could not.
I'm not claiming to be a scientist either.
Yeah, I don't understand why that's a dig.
Okay, you are claiming to speak with a certain level of competence in the basics of science. Now,
she's having a conversation with somebody in Clubhouse, Darth. Like, I mean, just stop foaming at the mouth.
Now, we can define the uniformity of nature, in addition to that definition, as the world around us, and I use that widely, I just don't mean on this rotating globe, operates in certain regular ways, whereas the future will tend to be like the past. Okay? Now, if I were to even drop the statement, the future will be like the past, and just say the world around us operates in certain regular ways, okay? Can you observe that uniformity of nature?
Yes.
No, you can't.
I can observe gravity right now.
No, listen to, okay, you're making the classic mistake that you are experiencing a subset of the whole, and the subset dictates what the whole is not like. That's called the fallacy of induction. All swans are.
If one experiences the effect of the Holy Spirit in the form of grace, one is not experiencing the totality of God. Theologically, is that a problem? I mean, I find this kind of interesting because if he's trying to employ this idea onto natural law or whatever it is he's trying to do here, I'm trying to like think of this in terms of like how somebody would employ this when they're talking about Christian theology. And in terms of grace, I don't think that's how it works. So I'm a little bit dubious. JL writes, principles are ideas based on scientific rules and laws that are generally accepted by scientists. They are fundamental truths that are the foundation for other studies. Principles are qualitative.
They're white because every swan that I've encountered is white. So if I make a universal or a global declaration, all swans are white. And somebody says, how now, brown cow? How is it globally or universally all swans are white? And
the problem with that fallacy is that you're taking something that's an inductive inference and turning it into something deductive, right? That's the problem, right? What you've been probabilistically what you've been able to see is that so far all swans are white. If you try to jump that rail and say all the swans we've ever seen are white, therefore all swans are in fact white, that's too far. And I don't know if Darth gets this. Like I don't like he's willing to like go out and like he's willing to call out. It seems like he's done this before in the past. It seems like inductive logic is just naturally fallacious to him, right? But when somebody calls out like ideas about like inductive logic when it comes to some of the deductive conclusions he claims to make, he's like, oh yeah, well some inductive logic, holds to that. But when somebody talks about cogent strong conclusions and inductive arguments, he just blows them off. Those can terminate into infinity, and I don't care. He just loses his shit. This doesn't seem to be anything different than that. So I think he's kind of out of his mind here.
Say every swan that I've seen has been white, therefore all swans are white. Is that valid reasoning?
That is not valid reasoning.
Good, and neither can you with logical necessity.
I'm not the only one who experiences gravity.
May I finish?
Everyone on Earth can see gravity.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All you're just simply doing is
so gravity is just inductive. That's interesting.
Increasing the size of the subset. That's all you're doing. Increasing the size of the subset doesn't help you escape from the inductive problem. Now, have you ever...
Right, but if you actually have an overarching theory of how gravity acts, I think at this point, astrophysicists speculate that they understand about 20% of how gravity works. And within those boundaries, they know that if they apply it in these particular ways, they get it. I think it's dark matter that kind of throws things off. So let's say that, we eventually get, something closer to, 90% of understanding how gravity works. Well, then you could apply it that way, right? It might be closer to that. I wonder if Darth will still be arguing about it this way. I'm like, okay, well, just because when I hold a pen above the floor and let it go and it drops to the floor, and everyone in the world can do the same thing, you just increase the subset. Yeah, you did. So what's wrong with operating from that? Like, why should, this is sort of an argument for trying to be like an argument against rationality, right? If you're able to calculate and communicate with everyone around the world in every time zone, at every pole, right, in every country, and they hold a pen up at the simultaneous time and drop it, and it falls towards the center of the earth, essentially, that's what it's doing, right? And they're like, oh, gravity's a thing, right? Okay, so that, yes, that is inductive, so it's all probabilistic. I guess we should just shit that out because it's not grounded by God, so it's not certain. So we should just dismiss it. Like that to me doesn't make sense. Like, and in fact, it seems to me that when I was in church, the idea that we could make observations like that was an example of God's revelation of how his world worked. Scientific observation of the world was part of general revelation. So this idea, like the way that Darth does this, where when he kind of attacks inductive logic, seems like an attack on general revelation. Maybe I'm just being weird, but
Heard of one of the fundamental problems of science is? Do you know what that is?
A fundamental problem of science.
One of the fundamental, and this is gonna go back to the issue of your worldview being able to render the Christian worldview superfluous. I'm going to stop asking you questions. I'll just make assertions, and if you want to object, you can. Okay.
that's refreshing. I'm going to stop asking questions. I'll just start making assertions. Cool. Nick writes, gravity is the title of a phenomenon that is observed and demands explanation. Every observation of dropping crap is an observation of gravity in action. Well put. Yes. If you dropped a pen and it flew up, that would be a new fact that would have to factor in into your explanation of gravity. It would refute it. It would let you refute it. Darth is just dropping the pretense. Yeah, he's not going to ask questions anymore. He's just going to start asserting shit. Here we go. Let's see what he asserts.
Okay.
I'm actually doubtful that he can assert stuff without asserting things in the form of a question.
One of the fundamental problems in science is called the problem of induction. Okay, the problem of induction is by our moment by moment, day by day observation, we extrapolate to a wider sphere that we cannot experience or see, and because we've experienced regularity without deviation, therefore the whole is like the part. That's a fallacy of induction in science. Do you understand?
I mean, if you allow yourself to reach that conclusion, but if you guard against the purpose of recognizing that kind of fallacy in inductive logic is to recognize its blind spots so that you don't reach faulty conclusions. I don't think that Darth understands this. Like, yeah, it's a particular tool in order to be able to figure out, like, in order to sort through things rationally, but you need to understand that it has certain limitations. Like, he seems to think that because it has, like, the way that he's presenting this, it seems like because it has a weakness, it's somehow intrinsically flawed through and through and can't be trusted in any way. That doesn't make any sense. It's a tool that can be used in a particular way in order to get to reach certain conclusions up to a certain point. That it doesn't need to be exhaustive. It doesn't need to be it doesn't need to reach the conclusion that something is 100% a certitude. That seems weird to me.
I understand what you're saying, but I disagree.
Okay, what do you disagree with?
So the use of science is not just saying that because I experience gravity and other people experience gravity, which is what the Christians are using, because the Christians only use anecdotal evidence, right? So at least I have some provable by science.
Let's stick. You don't have anything that's provable. Can you show me something that's provable?
Yeah, gravity.
Okay, how is gravity?
She's not wrong. I mean, provable in like the mathematical sense. I don't know if that's entirely possible. But demonstrable in a scientific sense, definite.
Provable.
Well, you can perform calculations. I can drop something and watch it go down. You can look at the world around us. You can look at how
what you're doing now, listen carefully. What you are doing now is reasoning by induction. Do you understand?
So what? Darth admits that he's done this in the past. He's used inductive reasoning to inform his deductive arguments and then said that those are fine. As long as his inductive arguments terminate in God, then that's okay. So I'm not exactly sure why he's like this. This is like some hypocritical bullshit. Like, aha, you're using some hypocritical crap, like, or some inductive stuff. What I need you to do is, you need that to terminate into Jesus. Like, no, you don't. Like, that doesn't work that way. That's not rational at all. And for some strange reason, old Z here thinks that is.
And that
I'm not reasoning by induction.
Okay, all right. You don't know what you're talking about. You are so uninformed that to the degree that you are informed, you're unaware of the area that you are uninformed. You are reasoning by induction. Are you omniscient?
No, not at all.
Okay. Have you experienced all moments of existence?
No. And no one, I don't think any human being could even potentially really describe that. Josephus writes, Alex Malpass really grilled Darth about induction in one of his interactions with Darth. Darth doesn't seem to understand that you don't just avoid inductive inferences by believing in God. Yeah.
No.
Okay. When you invoke that gravity is real, does it extend beyond what you moment by moment experience?
Does gravity extend beyond what I experience?
I always love it when everybody has to ask the question back at him because they couldn't really understand exactly what he was doing. But JL, it's vicious induction versus virtuous induction. Yeah, you're probably on the right track there.
Yeah. Does what you refer to as gravity extend beyond what you immediately experience?
Yes.
Okay. That's called induction. Okay. Induction is the white swan fallacy.
No, it isn't.
Okay?
No, because you're saying your white swan fallacy.
Induction is not equal to the white swan fallacy. That is that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard him say. Oh my God, no. Induction can lead to things like white swan fallacies, but that's not what induction is. Holy shit. What a moron.
Fallacy is saying that.
Okay, I want to ask you a question. Okay.
Oh.
And this is,
you want to ask her a question, or you gonna, or you have to, or you're gonna force her to listen, or what?
It's not intended to put you down. This is something that I commonly ask because I get to the point where I get people who are argumentative, who are uninformed. From my opinion, I think you're uninformed, but you have a lot of chutzpah. How old are you?
38.
Okay, I'm really surprised that you have this attitude at 38. Okay. Do you know what the fallacy of induction is, as I have explained it?
Yes.
Okay. Have you committed that?
No.
Yes, you have. The fallacy of induction is to make observations from one's experience or multiple people, and then to generalize to a wider sphere or whole to say that the whole conforms to what the part is like. Okay?
No, you're speaking philosophically, and I'm speaking in a natural sense.
Okay, you're not understanding science.
I'm not understanding where he's going with that. I don't think that was a good definition of what what you need to talk about. Because again, this is the guy that he just got done equating inductive logic with the black swan fallacy, as if they're one and the same. Like, well, if you use inductive logic, it's just going to lead to the black swan fallacy. I'm not surprised that he thinks this, because his approach to any of these kinds of philosophical things has been brought to him by different apologists. So he just thinks like, oh, well, this is an inevitable conclusion of approaching inductive logic. Therefore, you can't use that. It's just bad. Like, that has nothing to do with it. But inductive logic has a certain utility to it and comes with a certain weakness, which, if considered, creates a strength. It creates a check against credulity, against over certainty. Like, it's not the weakness that Darth thinks it is. It's actually something of a strength. But he seems to think like, no, it just inevitably leads to a black swan fallacy, and therefore it's 100% fallacious. You can't ever use it. You can't rely on it. That doesn't make any sense, especially when his entire approach to most of the stuff that he does, right? The sheer volume of atheists that Darth has encountered on Clubhouse and Discord and YouTube has led him to believe that all of them are slanderous, libelous trolls. That's inductive reasoning, Darth. So Are you going to surrender that? Is that some kind of satanic or fleshly logic that you're supposed to let go of? He's a dingbat.
Science is a subdivision of philosophy. It's called natural philosophy.
Those are two different things.
Okay, no, they're not.
She's not wrong there.
Two different things. One is a subcategory of the other. You don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well then if I don't know what I'm talking about, speaking with you is pointless.
Science is called natural philosophy. It is the philosophy of how we believe the natural world is and operates. Okay, it's called natural philosophy. Now, if you are saying that gravity,
and now that he's established that, now he has control of the conversation. Take that, all the love, 84, if that is in fact your real name,
exists in a greater realm than simply and only the experiences of collective humanity. Are there places here on Earth where human beings do not have sensory experience of, where gravity is real?
Sure.
I have no idea what you're asking.
Okay. Is gravity real outside the collective sense experience of human beings?
Still don't know what you're asking.
Okay. When you talk about gravity, is gravity true globally around the Earth?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you talk about that realm, which we can say globally, okay, do human beings, through their sensory apparatus, experience gravity at all times in all places?
Yes. On Earth. Yes, on Earth. We're speaking on Earth.
All right, ma'am. You are so fundamentally uninformed. It's pathetic.
You just said on Earth.
Okay.
You said, is gravity on Earth?
Are there remote places in this world where there are not human beings?
Yes.
Okay. Is gravity there regularly?
Like out in space, you mean?
No, ma'am, on this planet, are there remote places that human beings are not currently there?
Yes.
Okay. Is gravity real there?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because I know that gravity exists elsewhere, thus it exists.
That's begging, no, that's begging the question. The fact that gravity is in some places, it's not logically necessitates that it's in all places. You are operating under what is called the induction, okay? That because you and I and other people have not experienced an instance of where gravity was not consistent, from that you mentally...
This is nonsense. All right. It's flat out nonsense, because here's the thing. The question that he's asking, is there a realm where there are no humans where gravity is constant? Well, if it's possible that there is a realm, right, in our world being Earth, where gravity is not constant, we should expect to find a place where trees float, snow falls up, deer fly, etc. This makes no sense, right? The reason that we know that this is constant is because we can apply it as a universal based on the planet's position in relation to the other mathematical constants that we've been able to figure out. And so we know it in relationship to everything else. Now, Darth may be able to make the accusation that it's relative, but it doesn't make any sense for him to say something like, oh, hang on now. You and your family in Nebraska sitting down to eat some corn on the cob and some pork. You guys aren't flying off on your benches. But who's to say that some family up in Saskatchewan isn't drinking soup upside down? Well, that's easy enough to check. But also, not only is it confirmable, you can actually kind of check that. but it doesn't apply universally to some of the other theories that we've been able to test about our world that correspond to the entire world, not just to my spot on the planet. So I really don't know what he's trying to do here. This is almost like, hey, you know what? Theories of gravity don't apply to theories of epistemology in terms of philosophy. If you catch my drift. No, I do not. And you can fuck off. Sorry. Like that does not make sense. Does not make sense. Everything that he was trying to pawn off here on all the love is this is crap. Pure grade, just 100% grade D. This is snouts and tails grade beef that he's trying to churn out here.
Extrapolate to the global or universal statement that gravity is global. Okay, do you understand?
You're making arguments as though.
Oh
well, do you believe in science?
Hey, woman.
Do you believe that you can?
Humility? Do you have
woman? What? Why is he saying that?
Have any humility at all that you don't know what you're talking about? You simply are speaking out of ignorance.
Why should she? She's talking to a moron. Why should she have any kind of, why should she, like, she clearly she doesn't have any, well, I mean, it's not a question of humility. She has no pride. She's been talking with you for over 30 minutes.
We know gravity exists. We have proven gravity exists.
Listen to me, sunshine.
And just because I can't see it someplace else doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, now he's getting pissed off. Like, hey, have you seen a place where there aren't deer floating up in space? Like, okay, if gravity's not a constant in the sense that Darth's talking about, then how are we able to achieve things like the moon landing? Like, there are things about gravity that we don't understand. And like I said, I think, like, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson in a video was saying it's something like, there's aspects of gravity. It's probably like 20%. 20% of gravity is understood by scientists. But in terms of like our local solar system and stuff, in terms of understanding that, they've got that on lock to the point that they can propel people off this planet onto the moon and get them back down. Given that they understand how gravity works that way, it's safe to say that there are no floating deer in northern Maine. Darth, like, what the fuck? This is just this is a demonstrable, observable fact, and it turns out that it's demonstrable mathematically. They can get this. They can present it to Darth in a way that Darth, I'm sure, will just react with a hiss and two crossed fingers, as if Nosferatu has appeared before him. But still, the same thing applies. He's being an absolute ninny here. This is ridiculously stupid. JL writes, part of understanding gravity mathematically and demonstrably is understanding that if gravity is constant where you are, it's constant everywhere on the planet. Exactly. And it would be constant, at least locally, at least it has been so far, in our solar system as well, because we've been able to leave our Earth and send some people into other aspects of our solar system, like the moon, and send shit over to Mars, and launch a little spaceship to ping an asteroid right out of its orbit.
You see, you are a classic example of why it is problematic talking with people who are ill-informed, but they have a certain level of education and knowledge in an area, but they're unaware of what they don't know, and that you argue and bicker with me. Okay, you couldn't even tell me what the uniformity of nature is. You didn't even know what the problem of induction is. These are basic 101 concepts in the philosophy of science, and you didn't know these.
In the philosophy of science, right? Yeah, sure. But if you're trying to argue philosophy of science or some of the philosophical aspects of this kind of stuff, Darth is committing a category error, right? Like if you're trying to have a conversation with somebody about natural sciences and you want to explain, you want to use examples like where the planets is and deer not popping off the North Pole or something like that, you can appeal to natural sciences with that. If you try to appeal to philosophy with that, you're going to have a harder time. Darth does this stuff regularly, right? Like, so for Darth, he's like, aha, you dingbat have to be super skeptical about this stuff, and you can't just like accept this. You can't just assert this stuff, because if you're coming at this stuff like philosophically, then you damn well know that you haven't observed it, then it should just float away. Like, that's not how any of that shit works. That's not how that stuff works, right? We've observed it here, and it applies here, and therefore it's connected this way. We can extrapolate out mathematically, and it works, right? Now, if that mathematics, right, especially that extended extrapolation that applies throughout our observable world and universe, has anything to do with the God that Darth is talking about, then any of the crap that he's trying to accuse her of, the massive, super skeptical worldview that he wants to like force feed onto her, is bullshit. It's bullshit, because the general revelation of that math applied to the world around us is general revelation of God himself. It doesn't follow that super skepticism therefore reigns supreme. So these guys are talking out of their ass. These are fart noises. This is stupid.
Okay.
I didn't claim to be a scientist.
Okay. That remark right there is just a form of bickering.
It's not
You're
bickering.
refusing to. Oh my God! Where do they grow people like you?
Mike clipping. Now he's accusing her of being subhuman.
Now, listen carefully. Induction is by saying, "Oh, there's a white swan. There's a white swan. Oh, there's a white swan." Right?
He's starting to lay out the black swan fallacy as if it's inductive logic. These are different things.
And if all I do is encounter white swan, if I then make a global declaration, all swans are white, okay?
That would be the fallacy.
I am reasoning by induction. Now,
you're committing a fallacy via induction. The inductive conclusion is that probabilistically, because all the swans you have observed are white, then they probably all are white. Probabilistically, it's not a conclusion that they are all definitely white. When you try to make that conclusion, they are definitely white. That's the fallacy. People have attempted to explain this to Darth. Barney Tearspill tried to explain this to him years ago. Did Darth get it? No, because he's right back here telling all the love the same thing.
Is the whole necessarily like the part?
Reasoning by induction is saying that it is an unrealistic claim. Gravity is not an unrealistic claim.
Do you have any humility at all?
Gravity is not an unrealistic claim.
You know what? You're like the
because the vast majority of the world believes that gravity exists.
You just want to bicker.
I got to say, I'm really rooting for her now. She's doing a great job.
No, I'm trying to have a conversation with somebody who just wants to yell and keep calling me.
You're ignoring what I'm saying to you, and then you're just spouting off what you think you know. You're ignoring much of what I'm saying to you.
Which she should, because most of what Darth is saying to her is straight up ignorance.
No, I'm not yelling or making personal accusations to anybody.
To be making bald-faced lies. You're literally lying.
JT is always helpful. You're straight up lying. I'm sitting here stroking my belly like a sea otter. Oh, you inferior female human. Oh, how dare you approach Zorro. Jesus, JT. Jesus.
I'm not trying to be mean here, okay? I'm going to treat you like I will anyone else, okay?
I'm not trying to be mean here. It just comes naturally, Zarth.
And I'm getting indignant and agitated with you like I get with other people.
Other people who don't share your beliefs.
You simply do not know what you're talking about, and I will walk you through this step by step.
Look, I mean, I kind of agree with him here. Like, she doesn't know what he's talking about, because what he's talking about is science fiction bullshit, right? Like, he's equating inductive logic with the black swan fallacy. So yeah, she doesn't understand what he's talking about because she's not doing that and he is. Because for some reason, inductive logic automatically leads to the black swan fallacy, and therefore it is a problem. Always. Like I don't understand how we got to that. Like I mean maybe I do, because like if you combine that with like a general like introduction to the problem of infinite regress that comes from like exposing somebody to the Agrippa trilemma, infinitism, then he's just like gonna look at both of those and like, ha ha ha, you can't do this. I don't know. Like, and if he's getting this from an apologist, I want to know who that apologist is, because that apologist is whack as shit.
Your biggest problem is not the area of your intellect where you are uninformed. That's not the problem.
Oh, really?
The problem is your pride. You are unwilling to even listen and consider what I am saying to you. You won't even consider.
Who gives a shit what you have to say? I mean, what the fuck? Like, if you're gonna make, seriously, if anybody knows any better, and somebody tells you that induction is synonymous with the problem, the black swan fallacy, you can dismiss what a lot of what this person is saying, at least at that point, when it comes to anything having to do with inductive logic or reasoning or rationality or probability or any of that kind of crap. You can just dismiss that because that person's mind has taken a walk right off the fucking map. Like, yes, she doesn't have to take you seriously because you're not serious anymore. You lacked sincerity and seriousness a long fucking time ago when you failed at figuring this shit out. People have explained this stuff to Darth multiple times, told him how he's getting this wrong, told him how he's equating these things in weird ways, and he refuses to listen to them. And he continues to push this stuff as if he's some kind of fucking guru. This is absolutely astounding.
For the moment that I might have a certain degree of greater information and knowledge in the area of science than you do. Okay, I'm going to ask.
No, I never said that was true.
Okay, now
I have no idea your background or your information.
Wow, you must be a joy on a blind date.
Again, with the personal attacks, it's okay. I can take it. I have thick skin.
No, it's a personal criticism. It's to point out your bad conduct.
But he doesn't make these comments about men. You must be a joy on a blind date, right? So she's a bad match as a romantic partner. When she talks to men, when he talks to men, it's a different relationship thing. Like this guy has no control over how sexist he is, right? Like if he's talking to men, it's you're not a real guy. Like, although I don't know that he actually says this. Like, you must not be able to bench. You can't shoulder press me, or you must be the weakest person in your Boy Scout troop, or something like that. Like, that would make sense, right? I don't hear him say that kind of stuff, right? He just ends up pointing out that they're immature. Oh, you're 30 years old, but you sound like you're 14. Oh, you're 60 years old, but you sound like you're 14. Oh, you're 15 years old, but you sound like you're 12. That's all he ever does with guys. But with girls, oh, you must be great on a blind date. I'd hate to have you wash my underwear. Am I right, guys? Listen to this ball and chain here, right? Can you imagine having that tied to your leg? What the fuck? Like, I mean, I don't know that Darth is even really capable of understanding. Like, he's already projecting romantic stuff onto her. They're in a contentious argument on a social media outlet, and he is projecting onto her romantic stuff. How she would be in a date, how she would react with men, how she would handle herself. That's fucked up. That says a lot more about Darth than it says about all the love 84.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm getting indignant. You know why I'm getting indignant with you? It's not because I'm a cantankerous slob. I have been more than patient.
It's not just because you're a cantankerous slob
with you, but I've reached my level of patience with you. Well, all you're just doing is you're going, you're bickering. You aren't listening to what I'm saying to you. You're not.
Michael. Hey, Jefferson, I'm making my wife listen with me. I think she hates us both now. Please tell your wife, hello, and I'm sorry. So sorry.
You're not even trying to understand and absorb some of the basics that I'm explaining to you. Okay? Now, let's go back to induction. Let's try again. If you can be a little bit more humble. Okay?
Oh, good Lord.
Induction is the product of making certain specific observation of the part and then making a global statement. Okay. I see 10 white swans.
I disagree. You're missing a key point of induction, and the key point of induction is its unrealistic claim.
Wait a minute. Listen to me. What I'm telling you is not negotiable. Okay.
Well, you can't make your own definitions of things. A definition is a definition.
I'm not making my own definition. Okay, listen to me. Are you just Are you just going to be an obnoxious slob, or are you going to be at least bit cooperative and listen?
Are you going to keep making ridiculous claims and attacks on my character, or are you going to have a conversation?
Darth is really kind of losing. He's losing his chill with her. I mean, he was at the beginning, but holy shit!
Wow, you know what? I'm about to end this because I'm getting sick of your bickering. You are
sick of losing.
Yeah, just let me know when you're ready to end this conversation, Darth.
Yeah, you are completely uncooperative. You're doing what most atheists do. Okay, what you don't agree with, you don't offer a cogent, informed rebuttal. You just bicker, and then you make statements that you don't. You couldn't even tell me what the uniformity of nature was.
That's irrelevant.
That you're informed.
That is irrelevant.
Why the fuck are you ever talking to me?
Why are you making claims against me? It's irrelevant.
Do me a favor.
Why are you yelling?
You know what?
Why are you making personal attacks?
Kick her rear end out of here if she doesn't stop this.
Yeah, don't overtalk him.
Okay, now
JT is there as like the temple monk, like letting people know, like, oh, do not talk to the guru that way. Do not overtalk Darth. Darth will not be overspoken. You will listen to the Darth, and then you will be allowed to be heard. Like, JT is just like, I mean, I don't know what happened to this guy. Like, I heard, like, when he originally emerged on Clubhouse, people were like, oh yeah, he seems pretty easygoing. He seems he's like a preceptor, but he seems like he's pretty easy to talk to or whatever. And then he just like got into like the Darth camp, and now he's gotten like super weird, right? Like he's like full on like Cenobite into the Hellraiser camp. Darth emerges, and then the chains come out and hit you, and then there's JT just like chattering away, like I can't wait for that flesh to be rended. It's just, the whole thing is weird. Sorry if that's a little bit too deep. Watch the new Hellraiser movie. It's available on Hulu, folks. The new Pinhead is quite cute.
Yeah. Induction in philosophy and in science is making observations of particulars or specifics, and then from that generalizing to the whole. Do you understand that?
I understand what you are saying, but you're not. That is not the definition of induction.
You're going to get your rear end kicked out of here by the moderator, which he's already agreed to do.
The moderator, which is weird that JT did not give Darth mod powers. Maybe that's why this kept up as long as it did. Old Zarthypoo did not have Darth. He didn't have his mod powers. Only JT had them. Seems like an oversight. But now he's like appealing back to him, like, High Priest JT over there will kill you. He will bring the knife down across the back of your neck if you don't watch it. If you don't pay me the appropriate respect, 8:30. Jefferson shilling for Hulu. Yes, I'll shill for Hulu. They've gotten quite good now that the majority stakes are with Disney. I don't know why, but as a streaming service, content's better, stuff's better, it's working better. I don't know why. You getting a kickback? I'm not. I wish. I'd like some of that Hulu Disney money. That'd be nice. All right, here we go.
If you don't stop this bickering mode, what I've given you is something that is standard in philosophy, logic, and science. Something which you are not informed on. Okay? Can you tell me the three basic modes of reasoning within science?
Can you tell me the definition of inductive fallacy?
Do you want to be kicked out of here?
I don't care if you.
She raises an interesting question. I like this. I like her take on this. Yeah, Pinhead is now a Disney princess. Yeah, technically she is. Did you know that that's not actually Pinhead's name? Was never found out. His name is not what fans. It's just what fans call him. Yes, and now it's what fans have to call her because. And actually, she doesn't have pins all on her head. She's more like pin face because the pins are missing on the back of her head. But yeah, maybe semantics. Still, yeah, don't mess with the Cenobite. And if you see like a box that looks like the lament configuration, don't touch it. Don't try to solve it. Well, you puzzle freaks out there, check yourselves. Thing will stab you.
Kick me out of here. I'm having a conversation. If you choose not to have a conversation, you can kick me out.
Little bitch out of here. Kick her out of here. Good, she's gone. Okay. So, see, this is the underlying mentality of unbelievers, okay? It's just like they're at the cafeteria table.
He's been talking with her for over 30 minutes, and now all of a sudden she's a chatterbox.
And then people wonder, boy, Darth Dawkins is so mean. Oh, my goodness, he yelled at her. You're damn right I did. If you're going to behave like a complete horse's ass, then don't be surprised if I become angry and indignant and say a few coarse things and ridicule and criticize you. If you're going to behave like a complete ignoramus, which she was. Wow. Imagine having her on a jury.
Yeah.
What an ignorant, ill-informed person that was. But as I said earlier, the problem isn't I can deal with people who are ill-informed because all of us are ill-informed about one thing or another.
I do want to point this out. Let's see here. Nick writes, Jeff, I wrote a small thesis on why Dee is wrong and sent it to you in Discord. You needn't read it live, just letting you know it's there. It sounds like you'd like me to read it live. If you'd rather I don't, I'm going to do that anyway. But I'll save that for the end here.
Myself included, right? That's not the problem. The problem wasn't the fact that she was ill-informed. The problem is that she was an arrogant broad.
An arrogant what? Now, why does he have to go and refer to her that way? I wonder. Why does he have to use those words? Why did he have to use the B words to refer to her because he disagreed with her? He could just say that he disagrees with her, right? Like if he's all cool, calm, and collected, he doesn't really have to resort to this language.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
it's impossible to have a conversation with somebody like that.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like it was impossible to have a conversation with quote unquote somebody like that. It sounded like she was probably pretty easy to have a conversation with, but you guys can self-destruct a conversation within 30 seconds.
It's just disgusting. It's just 30. I mean, listen, if she was a 16-year-old girl, young lady, say, okay, she's an arrogant teenager who, thinks they know more than they do. Okay, fine. And, they'll live and they'll learn, when they get in their 20s. Wow, I've learned so much more. 38 years old and she's talking this way.
Yeah, it's as if she's got some life experience maybe behind her.
There's only so much arrogance and misguided chutzpah that I'm just going to be put up with and overlook.
You've been doing this for over 10 years and you've been talking to nothing but atheists. I mean, it's safe to say that the vast majority of people that you're talking to, it's misguided chutzpah and arrogance and ignorance. That's what he usually wraps things up as saying. Like, well, there's only so much of this I'm expected to take, right? Like, I mean, this guy's amazing. Like, he just shows up. It's like advertising himself. Like, he's like a porn star that is proud of himself for finishing the fastest. Like, he can't last for the duration of the film. He's got like 15, 20 pumps in him and he's done. right? He just loses. He's like, oh, whatever, and he doesn't actually come. He just like drops limp and then has to run away and then scream at the woman for doing something wrong. Like, how dare you? You made it stupid. Oh, you made it wrong. Like, what in the hell is wrong with this guy? Like, 10 years plus, 10 years. He's been doing this from the age of 50 to 60. And he doesn't know how to talk to a woman on social media. He can't even have a basic conversation without blowing his top and losing his shit. I need to tell you how things work. I'm going to preach it. Yeah, I'm going to tell you. Like, yeah, like you must be great on a blind date. You know who would be awful on a blind date? Your creepy ass. Like, Darth Dawkins represents, or Zarth represents the kind of person that is usually put, there's like an example of him used in sitcoms or dramas or whatever as an example, that date from hell, right? But everyone else that he encounters is the date from hell, right? That's because the common denominator is him. He can't get along with anybody. Everything blows up around him because he can't stop detonating shit because he's an idiot.
And at a certain point, I'm going to express my anger that you're just being a horse's ass.
Expressing your anger has never been a problem. The issue has been you expressing your anger in a constructive way.
Which she was doubly. I mean,
she wasn't. Nothing about all the love was assish. That's a stupid thing to say, right? she wasn't being an ass. She wasn't even being particularly argumentative or she wasn't even really interrupting him or talking over him more than a lot of other guys would on this kind of stuff. And keep in mind, he entertained that conversation longer with her. This is the weird thing. There was a conversation, one of the Time Rabbit videos from a little while, maybe 4 weeks back. He has a conversation with a Clubhouse user. It's a woman, right? And she's disagreeing with him. And I didn't review it because it's quite long. It's a little bit like this one. But he just keeps talking with her. I'm trying to figure this out. These quote unquote broads that don't understand, won't kneel to Zarth's greatness, don't seem to understand. Why does he give them 3 to 6 times the amount of time that he would give to men that were disagreeing with him? I find that interesting. It's almost as if Darth is looking for a love connection.
She was just simply bickering for bickering's sake. She knew she didn't know what she was talking about. See, this is what it is with some of these unbelievers. They're so well practiced in bickering that they actually believe that it's an effective strategy. And so when they get cornered about things that they don't know about, just bicker. You try to explain to her the nature of induction, the realm of induction, how and when it doesn't apply, and what does she do? She just continues to bicker like the arrogant ignoramus that she is. Yeah, and you can sit there going, I'm attacking you. Yeah, and for good reason, okay? When you behave like a horse's ass and you're called a horse's ass, don't be surprised when somebody calls you a horse's ass. And they're going, oh my, I'm clutching my pearls. You're attacking me.
I think most people know that the pearl clutching was happening on the Darth side, right? He was the one that just, oh, how dare you, you hideous, tattooed monstrous. God.
What a loser. Okay. It's just, do you?
That's a perfect ending. Thank you, Tom Rabbit, for that ending. That was great. All right. Well, with that, I think that's probably it. I think I'm going to end it there. Holy crap. That was insane. All the love 84. I don't know if you're on YouTube, but if you'd like to have a conversation at some point, let me know. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this particular conversation. Let me know. You can reach me at jeffersonspatchcock@gmail.com, or you can just shoot a comment into the thing. You know how to do it. Otherwise, maybe I will run across you on Clubhouse. I'm over there every once in a while. Yeah. Darth continues to disappoint and impress in his weird way. This is great. It doesn't seem like it's been over an hour and a half. It has. It's taken me about a little over 90 minutes to cover a 40-minute video, and I think we got to the end of it, and I think that's it. We're done. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you, everybody in the live chat, as always. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for keeping things lively. Thank you for any super chats. I am going to get out of here. I will be back probably not tomorrow night, but probably Saturday. Wait, no, I probably will not be back Saturday. I have a thing that I have to do. So I'm not sure the next time I'm actually going to be doing one of these videos, but I will be back shortly. But yeah, if anyone's interested, reach out to me at my email address, or send me comments, do whatever, hate, subscribe, like, love, flag, do whatever you're going to do. Or reach out to me on Clubhouse. I might be over there. If you're not on Clubhouse, you're smarter than I am. With that being said, I'm going to hang it up here and wish you all the best. Hopefully everybody has a great time. I will hopefully be coming back with a live stream probably Sunday. But, it's tentative. We'll see what happens. Thanks, everybody. Take care. I will catch you all later.